Colleague Betty McCollum has sat on the committee that knows about budgets and how to make our agencies work. She also comes from a state which this past weekend also experienced an attack where there were several people who were injured, and so we're pleased to have Betty McCollum with us today. Betty?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Vice Chairman Crawley. First off, as a Minnesotan, I want to be perfectly clear. The attack in St. Cloud, Minnesota was a vicious attack. It was terrorism, likely done by a lone wolf. And we are thankful that none of the victims lost their lives. But it was an act in which terrified the people in the mall and brought great pause and concern to people in Minnesota and throughout the United States. I, along with Mr. Crawley, would like to reflect for a moment on an off-duty police officer who rose up to the call and quickly took control of the situation so that it didn't spin any farther out of control. Back home, President Obama's been in touch with Governor Dayton, and we know that the FBI will conduct a full and complete investigation. Minnesotans still have many questions, and they deserve to be answered. I also want to state very clearly that I am so proud to represent Minnesota, a state in where all races, faiths, political affiliations stood united in rejecting all forms of violence, extremism, and hate. There was a vigil last night in St. Cloud where people from all over the state of Minnesota and from the area in the St. Cloud region came together and expressed solidarity of getting the answers and moving forward. But most importantly, they stood in solidarity with our Muslim communities, not only in Minnesota but across the country. We know how important and what a critical asset in countering extreme terrorism that these communities have been in wanting to get the answers themselves and stop the extreme violence that has happened. But Donald Trump's attacks on our Muslim American friends, neighbors, and co-workers undermine those efforts to keep America safe. But as my colleagues were pointing out, we have work here to do in Congress, and this work also reflects the work that Mr. Crawley and I need to have the FBI to have all the tools in the toolbox to move forward on. This Congress has failed to do its job and has failed to pass appropriation bills on the House floor on time. These Republican games, and that's what they are, folks, they're election games, they just need to stop. We need to pass a budget, we need to pass these bills, and we need to stop playing partisan politics with our national security. Americans need to know that they're going to be kept safe by the people who wear a uniform, whether it is police, military, whether it is someone who's working on the lines of collecting intelligence. And we just need to make sure that a budget is passed on time so cities, counties, state, and yes, our military and homeland security know that they have the dollars to plan, the resources to move forward. I can't say this enough as a member of the Defense Appropriations Committee. I know that we face serious national security challenges around the globe. We've got ISIL, North Korea, Russia, and the Chinese expansion in the South Island Seas. Folks, we need to get serious about getting these budgets and bills passed on time so that our intelligence community, our defense community, and those who work at Homeland Security here at home have the tools and they can make the plans to keep America safe. I know that my Democratic colleagues stand ready to make these investments in national security, homeland security, and the intelligence necessary to keep America safe. I call upon my Republican colleagues to walk across the aisle, not just reach, walk across the aisle and work with us on this. Working together, we can get it done. Their conference needs to resolve its own internal differences so that the American public knows the Congress will work for them and keep them safe.